most often happens in this location. We are on. Hello, everyone. We are so glad to join you and have you join us today. We're talking about the last information on high conflict individuals and their characteristics. We've done this now for a month. We've talked about it for 3 weeks prior to this. And I think it's such an important subject. I'm going to double back and while I'm not going to repeat all 40 characteristics because that's what the last 2 shows were about, if not 3, in one way or another, I am going to be summarizing things about what to do about this and finishing the 40 characteristics as well. This is a good show to call in to and comment, ask your questions, tell us stories. The guest call-in number is 347-850-1647. We'd love to hear from you. Again, my name is Martha Novak, and you're listening to the show Real Talk with Martha Novak, Esquire. Darlings, I do have a call already. What I'd like to do is start with a prayer. It always helps me get on the same page with you all and you with me. And then we'll go right to our caller. This caller has been holding for quite a while, so we're really delighted that you are with us today. And if you would like to call in, what I was about to say is I've pretty much talked about this subject. I do believe in talking things to death because I think sometimes with these very complicated subjects, particularly when they hit close to home, either with our own high conflict personalities or with someone else, it's important to repeat certain things because I've noticed for years in all of our processes that we kind of shut down when something is really scary and a different way of doing things, and that doesn't serve us in the end. So the reason that I do repeat in some of these shows is to bring you around again. Well, thank you so much for that vote of confidence that just floated by. It means a lot to me. So here we go. Let's begin. Dear God, who is all there is, you who are all we are, and all everything is in this world, we thank you so much for our being here together under the banner of wanting to know more about us, about you, about the union that we are. We so appreciate this life that we're living, even if we want changes, even if we don't want changes, even if we don't particularly like where we are. For it is the assimilation of that into our lives in the full realization in reality that we're there and we created it on some level of our being, usually an unconscious one, that we have the power to really change things. And of course, this all starts with our changing our minds. So right now, we open our mind to you and to the next levels of release, and actually the next few steps in the world that we need to take as spiritual beings in physical form. Thank you so much, dear God. And now we say we know nothing, for it's you through us and through all things that know it all. And we are very, very grateful for all of this. Thank you so much. We say this prayer in your name. In the name of the Ascended Masters, our love-centered guides and friends, and in the name of every person listening to this show. Thank you, and so it is. All right, and Pat, hello, darling. How's it going with you, too? Everything is fine around here. Life is pretty good, as a matter of fact. We are going to our caller right now. By the way, if you hear me acknowledging all of you all that are listening on Blog Talk Radio, if you're hearing me acknowledging people, it's because I'm being written to by my dear friends and listeners on Facebook Live, and on that screen you can talk to me. I am going to my 412 exchange right now. We're going to have a conversation. However, I do want you to know you can call in at 347-850-1647. One quick note. Sometimes where we are the speed depends on the speed of our internet stuff, depends on weather. And I just never know whether we're going to have it or not where we are. Last week, I think Facebook Live shut down. We did continue on Blog Talk Radio. So bear with me, guys. And if you go to my website, marthanovak.com, under radio shows, there are two buttons, one of which should lead you right into the show, whichever one you want. If not, you can certainly go to Blog Talk Radio under my name, Martha Novak, or to Facebook Live, whatever is up, under my name, Martha Novak, and that should get you in as well. All right, let's continue. We're going to go to our caller. Hi, this is Martha Novak. How are you?
Hi, Martha. This is Jessica. How are you?
Well, fine, Jessica. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Your topic is actually perfect for me for today, because I am in a very high conflict situation of a divorce with a not so honorable judge, and I'm doing everything I think I can to end it, and it just seems to keep on getting delayed. Like, it just doesn't end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time I think, okay, I'm going to get to it, and then there's more. And I want to walk away, but I can't because it's my children.
Yes.
But I'm ready to, it's just too high conflict, and I can't deal with it anymore. And, my ex is just out to take me down.
Now,
he wants me to have nothing to do with my kids, and I don't know how to stop this high conflict craziness.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about that. Honestly, I'm so glad you called in, Jessica, but it is high conflict craziness. I understand. Do you have 2 kids? 3 kids. Okay. There's why am
2
I?
boys and a girl.
Okay, that's what I'm picking up then. I kept getting 2, 3, 2, 3. Couldn't quite figure out what that was about. There's something to do with the 2 boys that has more energy than the girl right now. Is he fighting for them or something?
Correct.
Okay, that's what's going on.
All 3 of them, but yeah, it's just their energy.
But it's there's something centering around the boys specifically, it feels. I mean, there's some sort of extra energy there. Neither here nor there for our subject, because we want to go into this. Now, you're describing your situation. Your husband is high conflict. Is that right?
Unbelievable.
Okay. So he's the only
and
one.
Also unbelievably dishonest.
And dishonest. Well, I'm sorry about that. Darling, have you listened to any of the other shows?
Yes.
Okay. The doctor that has created this program, or I guess he's a doctor, Bill Eddy, I don't know whether he's a PhD or what, I know he's some sort of counselor and a lawyer, said that there are 5 high conflict personalities. I'm getting a pickup on your husband, but I want to know what you think. One of them, now all of them really understand that either. Not a bit. That judge, if there is some sort of prior relationship here, should recuse themselves. Do you have a good lawyer, Jessica?
She refuses to recuse herself.
Okay. Do you have a good lawyer?
Yeah.
You have a really good fight for you lawyer, right?
Well, I'm out of money, so that's the problem. I have a good lawyer, but I'm out of money. So if I want to do anything, I have to do it on my own.
Oh.
And I can't. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
the figures and legal fees is.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to say on the air it's so bad.
Well, I understand, and that does trap you a bit. Now, I'm going to help you with this high conflict stuff, so don't you worry. We're getting to that. What I'm trying to do, darling, is
because
just...
we have two hearings coming up. One about something he's been in contempt of for 3 years, blatantly, and then another one in June. regarding the kids and education and where they're going to live. And I just have no faith in this woman that she's going to look at the facts.
Can you request a mediator? Have you done that?
We're way past that.
You're way past that. The thing that I don't know what state you're in. What is 412?
Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania. See, when you're
Yeah.
the reason I'm asking some of these questions is laws vary from state to state, and I don't know what they do in Pennsylvania. But I'm going to tell you how to get around a high conflict personality as best you can. The big thing here, my dear, is to get out of this and to end it. And I know that's what you said in the beginning. We want this to end. The problem with some of these high conflict personalities is if you become the target of blame, which you have, that perpetuates the fuel of some of these high conflict individuals. So, sweetie, the point is for us to remove you from this as soon as possible. Now, that's why I said you need a real good lawyer. I understand you don't have any.
I have a lot of I have a lot of friends who keep saying to me, "Just walk away, give him everything, and the kids will be back in 6 months. They'll just leave him."
Well, and that
Let
might
him
be.
do it all.
Yeah, that
Take
might be.
care of everything.
Why don't you trust that? That might be true. That might be true.
The mother in me says you shouldn't stop.
But darling,
Right.
You shouldn't stop is kind of like it's the principle of the thing, and that's rather egoic. I don't want you to fight for fighting's sake. I need for you to get out of this situation, to provide a safe environment for your children so that they can see the difference between this man and your quiet, peaceful, loving home. I deal with a lot of divorced people in my practice. You know, I do private counseling, and I deal with a lot of people that are going through something similar to what you're going through, and many of them are high conflict. One of the things that we do there is we try to open the mind and say, sure, the courts say they have to go to the father in this amount of time. That's just great. Let's send them there. I have one that is in another state now, as a matter of fact, quite far away. And the father is so erratic. And I've said from the start, when I started working with the mother 4 or 5 years ago, let's provide a really, really, really nice home for your boy. He's, I think, almost 5. And it's been that long. And so we've always provided a safe home where he can tell her everything. And already the child doesn't want to go to his father. He's ashamed of his father. He doesn't like going there. He doesn't like, the child is embarrassed. He's actually using those words to his mother when the father shows up at school, things like that. There is something to be said. Now, I wouldn't give it all away, but I would certainly have my hand in so they have a safe place to come. You all divide custody, but you need to get out of this as soon as possible. What are you all fighting over beside the kids? And by the way, how old are your kids?
9, 11, and 13 will be 12 and 14 at the end of this month. So 9, 12, and 14.
Okay, good. Well, they're old enough to see what's going on, darling, and you have to rely on their good sense. And by the way, never say anything bad about him in front of them. You can explain things, but explain them in a rather abstract manner. In other words, what I suggested for my friend in this other state is to say, when the child comes home upset from the father, say why you're upset. Well, he did nothing but yell the whole time. You know, we've got to understand that different people respond to stress of all kinds in different ways. He responds his way, you and I respond our way. How do we respond? We talk about it, we're honest with each other, we're kind, we're respectful here. But everybody does have a right to do it whatever way they want to do it. That's an example of how you need to be talking to your children, Jessica, so that they understand that the two households are different, but you are not disparaging the other household. You understand? You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I know this is hard for you because I
Yeah.
can tell how upset you are and how angry you are. And I want to say to you that I understand that, but we can't stay in our justifying that. I understand your perspective. That would be a stage that you go through. That would be a stage that I would go through if I was in this situation. However, my dear, I can't let you stay there in that perspective. We've got to do something else now. So part of this is the trust of God, that God is going to give these kids good sense and they're going to see the difference between his household and yours if you clean up your household, because right now it is hard to be in your household too because you're upset all the time. And I understand that. I understand that. I'm saying that's what we need to work on to get you calm and off the ledge now. What are you, other than these children, what are you all fighting about? Money?
Just how much time we have with just the children primarily. This thing in 2 weeks is about the mortgage, only because he's destroyed my credit, and he won't pay the mortgage. Like, he pays 1 month right before the 4th month is due every month for the last couple years. And my name's the only one on the mortgage, not his.
Yeah.
But he's court ordered to pay it. So finally, after going to court like a dozen times, there's a contempt hearing at the end of the month. And that's really the only thing. I'm done. I mean, I'm just walking away at this point with him.
You're going to have
money.
to,
I mean,
sweetheart.
I know he's hiding it.
I'm sure he is.
I mean, I'm on permanent disability, and he owns his own company. And he doesn't, and he pays next to no child support if he does.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Is this fair? Absolutely not. But it's what it is. And I need to protect you and those children by getting you out of this equation. You are the target of blame here. It's not going to get any better if you are the target of blame. Now, somebody like this husband of yours always has to have a target of blame. That goes along with a high conflict individual.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't have to be it anymore. So if we can move you out of the line of fire, he can't stand it. He's got to have a target of blame. He's going to scan his horizon, and there's going to be another one, and that's what we want. I mean, I'm sorry, but the bottom line is we don't want you to be that anymore. So the quicker this can end, the better. Now, what's wrong with just splitting half and half with time with the kids? What's wrong with that? I know you don't want that for the kids.
It's more than that. It's that he took him from the best school and put him in the absolute worst school district in the state.
Yeah.
And I've now moved to the best school district in the state, and he does not want to allow them to attend the best school district. He wants to keep them in the worst school district in the state because education is so important to me, and giving my kids the best opportunities in life is so important. So he does everything he can to take any good opportunity they have away from them because he knows he's getting my go.
Yeah, but darling, here's the bottom psychological line here. If you guys continue to argue about this and continue to be so upset, these children are getting all that, by the way. I don't care if you're trying to hide it or not. These kids get it. They're not going to do well in school anyway, in the best school district. So for God's sake, stop arguing about this, and let's move you out of the target of blame, and maybe they can go, once all this settles down, to the best school, but right now it ain't going to happen. So I need for you to realize
well,
that
that's I can't back out in that the court date in June.
Yes, I don't want you to back out. I'm saying if this doesn't go your way, don't pursue this. Just get out of the relationship. You all are delaying this. And part of this is that you are fighting every battle instead of just the ones that you need to fight. Okay? Because the number one thing is for us to get you out of this marriage. Number two is to do what's best for the kids. And by the way, getting you out of this marriage is what's best for the kids. But then doing on as the second thing, anything like the school or anything else is best for the kids. Now, if it goes your way, this court thing, when you have the court hearing coming up, then I say, great, that battle is done. I hope it does go that way. But this is an example saying, you just need to get out of this and have this over. And so I want you to actually, instead of thinking that everything is important, number one, think, I got to get out of this. I got to provide a safe home for these kids. I've got to end this and go back to some sort of normalcy and have a sanctuary here for me and for these kids. And then we can deal with the rest. So that's just by way of example. Let's go on with what you've got on the books. I'm not saying get out of anything. I'm saying I want you to think through some really good priorities, Jessica, so we can get you out of this and have it over. Because you have kids, you're going to be the target of blame for a little while. Anything he can do to mess you up, mess your schedule up, probably will happen. But if you refuse to,
he loves doing that to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Actually,
what you're saying making sense, because over the summer he has the kids so overscheduled that he's treating me like his private chauffeur. And I've already decided that when I do have the children, because he signed them up in the way the order is, I'm not his private chauffeur. If he's gonna have 3 kids doing like 5 different activities each over the summer, let him be responsible for getting them there.
That's right. He's got to have some drivers or some good people that he hires to do something like that if you're not available. I wouldn't do a blanket no. I would be honest about this. When you can, great. When you can't, don't. He's just telling him he's got to make other arrangements. Because right now I think it's really important that you get your life back. I know you said you're under disability, but is there any work you can do from home? The courts like to see you making
I'm trying right now, but I'm not going to tell him about it, because if I do go back to work, he's going to come after me for child support.
Well, that's absolutely right. We want to keep this quiet, but this is something that, again, looks good to the courts when the time comes, and you don't reveal information too early. This is for at some point when you need that. Well, we couldn't live off him not providing for us, so I had to go out and work, but I have been reluctant to reveal it because he'll come after me for that. So, wait until the ideal moment to reveal it, but that's a good piece of ammunition for you to have in your favor. That makes you look good. So thank you for hearing me. Thank you for saying this makes sense. We've got to prioritize what's really important for you. What's really important is for you to move out of this target of blame place. Again, he'll make forays back in, trying to hook you back in. Here's another thing that often happens, and I haven't even gotten to what I think is going to, the high conflict stuff yet, but in a way we're still touching on it. Here's what I often see people doing too. With high conflict people, they are trying to bait you. They're trying to get you to argue back. They're trying to get you to look good.
He does it all the time.
Yeah, I want you to be very careful and don't put anything in writing other than the nicest and most honorable things. Okay? Do not write your vitriolic self, and do not say that on the phone where he can tape you. Do not write another negative, bad word. Oh, you can say what you can do and what you can't do. You can say, I can't pick them up on Saturday. You'll have to make other arrangements. I'm so sorry. And have that be very nice. But darling, all this is going to go on public record, and they can make you sound like you are not if you are not careful. So absolutely no.
That's exactly what he has done.
All right. Absolutely no terrible phone calls. Well, darling, you can't put these things in writing or put these things and be recorded. You cannot. So they stop today. All right. The other thing is high conflict people do try to bait you. So they're going to, and I want you to keep a file on him. I want you to save every email he writes, every threatening phone call I need for you to take. I need for you to have all of that, okay? Every time he leaves the kids at school and doesn't show up, every time he doesn't know who the doctor is, every time he does anything, I need for you to keep a file on this. He offends the teacher. I need for you to get a deposition from the teacher, a little note about what happened, put it in your file. You are going to have to start collecting things in case you need them in the future.
I do.
All right. Make sure you have that.
I do.
The other thing is, when he baits you over email, don't answer back. We're trying to have you, answer back by saying, I won't be available on Saturday. I'm so sorry. You'll have to make other arrangements. And you're going to have to just put that. But you may not defend yourself and answer back and be mean to him in the written word or the spoken word from this point on. People like this start, as you say, lying. They start with their own reality. They're actually trying to get you sucked in to answer back, trying to get you upset.
He's in it's actually quite scary that he's in a reality that's really not even remotely accurate.
I understand that. And he may be quite mentally ill. I'm saying whether he is the craziest man on the planet, and I don't like that word, but craziest man on the planet, or whether he is sane and strategic, your protocol, getting out and ending this and not being baited, is the same. What you do, whether he's crazy as a loon or whether he is just strategically mean, is the same. Do you understand? And that is nothing in writing. Nothing, and when something comes across that's blatantly untrue, and you have this need to defend yourself, the only defense that you do is to the courts. You don't give him any of that. You don't answer back. You're not baited that way, but you keep every one of his emails. You keep every one of his phone calls.
Communicate through a particular app.
I'd like you to stop the communication,
Really?
except about the kids. You see, this is what I am.
I do as bare bones as I can.
Okay. Well, just keep in mind what I'm saying, because right now I can't have you sucked into anything. My darling, you need a lawyer. Now, there are lawyers, I would think, that are there for people that are in your situation. And the thing is, go and find a good one that you can afford, that works for practically nothing. There are people that are provided like that by the state. The fact that you're trying to do this yourself is a mistake, Jessica. And I'm just trying to protect you here. You need someone who is a buffer and who has your back on this and who understands the law and can negotiate you through it. Now, that's my strongest advice that I have for you. Otherwise, I'm going to go right back into talking about high conflict individuals and how to handle them, okay? But I need for you to go out and find an advocate for yourself. That is, I don't know what you would call this, but there are lawyers that are, public advocates that are not paid much money, if anything, you see? And you've just got to have that, sweetheart. You don't know the intricacies of this. And you could get very, very hurt if you don't have somebody helping you here. So that's my strongest advice to you. You've got to have an advocate here. I'm helping you all I can on a public radio and without knowing the laws of Pennsylvania and without knowing this guy. I'm feeling how in jeopardy you are. And I'm feeling that you're adding to it a little bit by your wanting certain things that you're going to have to give up here. But you need a lawyer. And you don't have to pay the highest price for a lawyer. You just need a good lawyer who is here as an advocate, a public advocate for you. It can be, Jessica, darling, there's a lot of noise going on. Are you okay?
I just can't breathe.
I'm so sorry.
I'm having allergy issues. I'm having a hard time breathing.
I'm sorry about that, sweetheart. There was just a lot of noise on the phone, and I want the audience to be able to hear you, hear me. So that is my strongest advice to you. I would try to find that right now. It could even be the lawyer that is a friend of yours that could be advising you. But in my opinion, I think you need a lawyer.
I do have actually say that I have two lawyer friends who are advising me constantly.
Okay.
For free.
See if they also know someone who would work for you and actually be the buffer, i.e. the point of contact, so that he didn't contact you anymore, contacts them, that works in some sort of public sector like this. Okay? So that's really important. So that's number one for you to do. Now, let's talk about how to handle somebody like this, because these high conflict individuals, I'm kind of skipping ahead with what I was going to do last in the show. So let me go on and tell you. This Bill Eddy, this is from a book called 5 Types of People Who Can Ruin Your Life. You might want to get this book. You can get it, I'm sure, on Amazon. It's by Bill Eddy. He's quite good. Lawyers understand people like this as much as they can be understood, because they deal with these people a lot in cases just like this. So this Bill Eddy has started an organization that studies high conflict individuals and tells people how to make it through. I'm sure he trains other lawyers in this. And he has a methodology for dealing with high conflict personality called, the acronym is CARS. C-A-R-S. If you'll write this down, the C's.
I just found his webpage while I talked to you.
Good. I'm so glad. The C stands for connect to this person with empathy, attention, and respect. Empathy, attention, and respect. Well, I'm so sorry you're not going to be. I can understand how busy you are on Saturday and that you won't be able to pick up the child from this, but I'm not going to be able to do it either. I'm really busy, and I'm trying to get another job. He doesn't know you've got it. And will you be kind enough to arrange for a pickup and a drop off? That's really important, that you connect with empathy, attention, and respect. The thing that drives high conflict personalities is exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to fight him. That's fuel for his fire, and he's better at it than you are, Jessica. High conflict people are. Listen, that's no compliment to him. I don't want any of you guys to be high conflict, but they're better at it than we are. Okay? That's a real important acknowledgement. So we're trying to get you through this, getting you as much of what you want as possible, getting you out of the immediate situation and the immediate danger, getting your children out of the immediate situation and the immediate danger, allowing them a sanctuary in your home, and then dealing with the rest of it. Okay? The way we start this is for you to stop the contentiousness immediately. So you're going to have to connect with him through email and you've got to communicate with him some, because of these kids, with empathy, attention, respect. I know you're mad as hell. You will notice that's not in this breakdown. You can't be mad as hell. You have to handle that on your own and compartmentalize and put that somewhere else and get help for that. Right now, those are the emails that have to go back and forth. That's how you talk to him, with empathy, attention, and respect, for being another human being, not because he's respectful. in the way you think he needs to be. The A in CARS stands for analyze, because you've got to analyze alternatives and options. As the target of blame, and I'm just using this as an example, he's going to say, you have to pick the kids up here, here, and here. You have to come up and say, I am available to do that on this occasion. I'm not available on these occasions. You'll have to find an alternate person that you can hire to pick them up. You're going to have to do that. Or you're going to have to change your schedule to pick them up. And so that is, you're going to be the one to analyze the options and the alternatives, because he only sees you. You are the target. So give him those other options. That's all you can do, whether he acts on them or not. It's not your fault, right? By the way, the bad thing about this is the children are being manipulated. So you have to always make sure these children always have to have some money on them that they don't spend, so that if it gets really bad, they can get a cab home. You've got to give that to them. I don't know whether that would be $10, $20, $30, but they have to have that on them. It's like years ago when we started dating, in my day and age, our mothers would give us a dime and say, call home if you ever are in trouble.
Well, what's really scary about that? A lot of the kids now, they have the Uber app on their phone. It's very common where I live. The kids of my daughter's age, the 14-year-olds, they'll Uber. They have Uber on their phone, and they just call for an Uber.
I think that's marvelous. But what you're going to have to do is open an account for them with Uber. And I would do that and say, I don't want you to misuse it. This is for if you ever are in trouble or someplace you don't want to be, you get out of there. You call Uber and you get out of there. And but you're going to have to open an account or something. So I would go on and see about that, because these children have to be protected. They're in the middle, you see. And if he doesn't pick them up, if he's not coming, and he could punish you through them that way, you've got to this is not just thinking through alternatives for him, but thinking through alternatives for your child and for you. You understand?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The R of this method is respond to misinformation or hostility, but not with more misinformation and hostility. So if he says something, for example, to those children that is against you, you've got to correct that in the most loving manner. You've got to say, dears, your dad is very, very angry. And we understand that people get angry. All of us have gotten angry before, but this is the way he handles that. So let me tell you what's true about me. And you've got to respond to that misinformation and hostility. If he's saying it in court, you have to have a very clear answer here. The more you go after him and disparage him instead of just correcting the thinking, the worse you are going to look. So this is a way for us to not say, that's a blatant lie, I didn't do this, because who's, when you are countering information with information like that, nobody knows who to believe. So you've got to rise to a higher level.
Especially this judge.
Yeah, you've got to rise to a higher level. Well, the judge is seeing two people argue. I'm not taking up the judge's side. I'm saying if a judge sees two people argue, whether they have ever had any prior relationship, what do they do with that? So I've got to have you stop arguing and be the higher and more aware and more conscious person and put that on the table every time. So he says something untrue for you in court and say, I'd like to explain that, because he has a misunderstanding about this, and this is what's true. Not, I did not do that. Because if you go with the interesting thing about defensiveness is defensiveness always shows up when you actually agree with the other person and you're not ready to admit it to yourself. So I don't want that kind of presentation from you. I want a simple and logical explanation that colors you in a lovely light and corrects the misinformation. You understand? You get it?
Yeah.
All right. If he is saying you don't care about the children, all you need to say is, well, I'm sorry you feel that way because I certainly do. But we each have our way of caring for them. And that's just a correction of misinformation. That's not perpetuating the fight. If you perpetuate the fight, he's better at this, Jessica, than you are. So don't perpetuate the fight. You see? This is all trying to remove you from the fight. Okay, the last letter is S. It stands for set limits on high conflict behavior. In other words, when you talk to him on the phone, let him know, I'm going to have to get off soon. I'm so sorry, but I've got to go and somebody's waiting for me. Or there's someone here at the house with me and we are going out. So do tell me what we need to do here for the kids. What did you call for? What do we need to do? And always have a limit, Your limit is also when you said that he's asking you to pick 3 people up. Well, if you can pick them up, that's a loving thing for you to do to for your children. But if you really genuinely have something to do, or you don't feel well, or all the other things that happen in life, you've got to say, another setting limits is what we've already mentioned. Thank you so much. I understand. I understand your busyness. I know you understand mine. The fact is, you'll have to find somebody else to pick them up and drop them off. You see? And so there we are. I would also bring up in court, and this may not have anything to do with anything, but if he cannot pick them up and they are going to take Uber home, certainly I would rather have a trusted, what do I want to say? I would rather have a trusted individual that you all hire rather than Uber, but that's just me. I'm probably overprotective of my kids. I would put on the table that that's the way he's decided to do this, and that you all should split the costs of the Ubers. So, sweetie, there's a way to think this through and set limits, and these things must be talked over with your advocate. Again, I think that there's going to be a lawyer out there for you that is not a lawyer that usually makes money and is a freebie. That's wonderful that you have 2 friends that are advising you, but I think you need someone that negotiates these things with the judge, and you don't have to pay for everything. So, for heaven's sakes, my darling, please investigate the things that we're talking about right now. Clean up your act so that you are not continuing to perpetuate a fight. If you continue to perpetuate a fight, I'm not saying he'll win. I'm saying that you're going to be exhausted because he's better at it. So I need for you to start making these very clear and good decisions and remove yourself as the target of blame. Okay?
Okay.
All right, sweetie. Do you have any other questions for me? Because I've got to get to my next caller.
No, I think you handled it very well, and I appreciate it.
Darling, I am, Jessica, very concerned about this. Don't think I take any of these phone calls lightly that come in on this.
No, I'm actually going to get those books on Audible today because I think it will help, because I am at the point where I am exhausted. I do want to walk away and just, let the kids, like my 11-year-old actually has been sending me photos of the inside of the house, which are disgustingly deplorable. I mean, there was so much, and he knows I have photos, but he doesn't know how many photos I have. It was so bad that on Friday, he rented a large, like a medium-sized U-Haul,
Mm-hmm.
and filled the entire U-Haul with garbage.
These are very good for you to have, but it's not just enough for you to have these pictures. It's very important that you give them to a good lawyer so that they can show these things to he shouldn't even have access to this judge. You don't have anybody that can go and say, all right, he's causing trouble, look at this, and have the judge go, holy Moses, that's a part of this that I didn't see. But darling, you're just collecting these things. For God's sake, go get a good lawyer. Go get someone that doesn't charge you much money, that's going to advocate for you. Please do that. That's the number one thing I can beg you to do.
Okay.
All right? It's in your best interest.
Thank you.
All right? And darling, they're out there. There are people that are there for your situation financially that are supposed to help you. Now go find one. Don't just take the first one either. Go and look at 2 or 3 of these people and choose the one that really will help you. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Good luck, darling. And please let me know how you are, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, sweetie. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to another caller. This is area code 401. I'm Martha Novak. To whom am I speaking?
Hi, Martha. My name is Perry. Thanks for taking my call.
Certainly. Perry, is it Perry?
No, it's Kerry with a K.
Kerry. Oh, so is it Kerri or IE?
It's Keri.
Keri. The reason I'm asking, Kerry, is that helps me tune into you as we talk. So that's the reason I always like the exact spelling of things. Well, hello, dear. What can I
understand?
Yeah, good. Good. What can we what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I'm glad I stumbled upon your show. I don't believe anything happens by chance, so I just happened to check Blog Talk this morning and came across your show. And I'm dealing with a situation in my life very much involving high conflict. It's been ongoing for quite some time. I haven't caught the other part of your show. I know that this show you said in the brief synopsis was a continuation of the discussion, so I'll be sure to listen back to that.
Thank you.
But I'm living with a significant other. We're unmarried. We do co-own property together. The property was actually in my family. My father passed away a few years ago, and my grandmother also passed away after him, and my significant other kind of bought her share of it out. So it's emotional to me, and it's been stagnant, and it's been a lot of heartbreak and heartache around it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm dealing with a very narcissistic individual. So, I mean, he'll go and he's a firefighter. He also has another business. He'll go and make choices for those career decisions and, sort of leave this hanging in the lurch just for me to deal with. And I've really never met an individual like that. I've noticed characteristics in myself that I don't wish to have, meaning, he's causing like the rage within me.
Yeah.
And I've gone to therapy for that. So I don't know if you have any insight as to how best to handle this.
Well,
I feel like we all should have some sense of empathy, but he doesn't seem to have much empathy. I don't know if he truly gets it, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm a little, okay, Kerry, hang on a second. I'm a little puzzled by some of this, so I need to ask some questions so I really understand this whole situation. So bear with me for a minute. So as I'm hearing you, this property was in your family. You relinquished the sole ownership of this property, and are you the one that added him to the deed for this property?
Well, when we met, so my father and grandmother owned it, but my grandmother had split her claim. When my father passed, his brothers fought for my grandmother's interest, so they kind of fought me in estate proceedings. So they wanted to sell and gain her share of it, or whatever that's worth. He came into my life when this was going on and provided comfort to me and, was able to actually talk to me and we spent a year talking about possibly doing this together, and he bought in with his own money. So I already had my inherited half share from my father. He bought my grandmother's half, essentially, from my uncles. So we co-own it, and it's a rental property.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So we are full equity owners.
You all are full equity owners. Nobody else is involved at this point in this property.
Nope. And the last tenant actually left right before he purchased it in October of 2016, and it's just been vacant. And it's heartbreaking for me because not only was it an opportunity, but I wanted to take sort of a tragic situation and turn it into a triumphant one. Obviously, that's what we had discussed. And it's sort of like, well, I have other things to do now.
What's a triumphant one to you? Carrie, what's a triumphant one?
Restoring it back to, having people living there, because my father passed unexpectedly as he was doing things with the property. He died of a massive heart attack. So it was sort of just finishing what he had started. And obviously it wasn't not for the money for me, but it was just sort of now seeing it be there stagnant. I think.
Yes, but darling, what did he finish? What did he start that you want to finish? I'm confused about this.
Oh, just renovations, just certain renovations that he had been doing. But I think my significant other doesn't realize that it's the rental property. So there's 4 units. We're living in one, and the other 3 are vacant. And people approach us all the time about renting it, but he doesn't allow anything to move forward.
Why doesn't he allow that to move forward? What is his thinking on this?
Because he will break the plumbing.
Because he doesn't want to fix. Wait. Yeah, sweetheart. Our connection isn't that good to begin with, and when you're speaking really quickly, we're having a hard time understanding. I think I'm speaking for all of us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So slow down a minute, and that's the reason I'm asking some of these questions. So he doesn't want to fix the plumbing. All the plumbing is broken in these 3 other units. Is that what you're saying?
It wasn't broken. No, it was fine. But then somebody would come to say, I'm interested in renting it, and next thing you know, he's telling me that we have a plumbing problem. So I can only surmise that he's maybe causing the problem. I don't know.
That he is saying that you all are having a plumbing problem. So that it doesn't
Right,
get...
there were no problems.
There are no problems.
It's almost like he's stalling the process.
Well,
there was no problems, but still be...
Okay. Yeah. Do you love this man?
I did at one point. I feel as though there's some insidious behavior going on, and it's abusive, to be honest with you. And I just don't really understand.
What is abusive that he's doing? What is it that he is doing that is abusive beyond the property?
He destroyed all of my personal possessions, all my furniture.
In what way did he destroy them?
Like he broke every piece of furniture. He has a drinking problem. And yes, the police have been involved. We have documented it. He just somehow will not sell this property with me. I vacated it. It's just sort of dangling, and it represents a large part of my life. So it's been very, very conflicted. And he is very good at the game. I listened to your previous call. And it was when you said to her that he's a lot better at this than you are. You're 100% correct. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. How long have you all been cohabiting?
3 years.
Okay, so you don't qualify as a common law. Therefore, the law does not protect you, my dear. Huh.
Right. And he's a firefighter in my state. I mean, obviously he's in a position of, in my regard, I worked in a law firm, so I know the laws pretty well. I've also been a flight attendant. I've had some worldly experience, and usually I'm a good judge of character. So I'm trying to take the best steps I can to protect myself, give people the benefit of the doubt, but somehow, some way, anytime I do that, it's intensifies, it's just
Well, Carrie, the reason I asked if you love him, and the reason I asked once you used the word abuse, the nature of that abuse, is I don't even know why you're with this guy. I am very puzzled by you still live with him. If you indeed work for a law firm, I say, thank God. I need for you to find out how to get out of this relationship and how to get some money out of your property. By the way, I think, and forgive me for saying this, I don't mean to squash your dream, but here's the truth. That property is never going to be renovated and developed the way you wanted it to. I just don't think so.
Oh, I know.
I think you've pretty much lost it, except for getting some money out of it so that you can start a new life somewhere, and you can go on and create another wonderful experience for yourself. But you're going to pretty much need to get out of this situation.
I think that's where it's trying to prevent me from accessing that. It's like in his mind, I don't deserve it, but yeah.
Well, I don't care what's in his mind, darling. There's a legal way you're going to get out of it. Now, let me say something to you, and this is by no means, because I'm always, number one, very concerned about that you're okay and that the people that call into the show are going to be okay. But I want to say to you, because I'm talking to the radio audience right now, number one, I want you to recognize these people before you get involved in them, okay? This is no hand slap, sweetheart. I just don't want you to do this again, and I want all the people in the radio audience to understand this too. And I'm going to talk to you about how to recognize them later on in the show. But the second thing here is, my darling, you've just got to get some help so that you can get out of this situation. And one of the ways you can always get out of a situation is know if something doesn't work out, what the agreement is on the front end if it doesn't work out on the back end. There was no agreement here. There were no papers signed saying if we're going in on this property, when one of us wants to sell, the other one has to sell. If you had this in a contract, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. So you never want to get involved in something. You never want to start a business with someone or anything else where you don't know how it's going to end, so that everybody walks away with something and that everybody's in agreement. You understand? So I just simply, again, this is no hand slap. This is to say to you, I don't want this to happen to you again. Know what you should have done from the beginning in this, and now let's focus on how to get you out of this. Because you work for a law firm, go to a trusted person in that law firm. All right. What do they recommend you do?
Well, this is a very short version of the whole situation, but ever since he bought into it, from the next week after, I have papers drawn up for an LLC, for partnership management agreement for the, as far as how we would repair, you have to do like
I'm sorry, we're having a hard. Wait, slow down, Carrie. We can't hear you, and you're talking so quickly. Slow down, and tell us all that again.
Sorry, there's just an echo on my end, so I'm hearing myself back to me. From the week after he purchased that half of the property, I had these drawn up, warranty deeds from over us.
Okay, slow down. What about the warranty? Say that again.
The warranty, he wouldn't sign it.
He wouldn't
he
sign.
Don't find a reason not to.
He wouldn't sign what?
Partnership agreement as far as the property.
He wouldn't. Okay, wait. He wouldn't sign the property agreement?
No. So what you said was 100% correct. The paperwork we should have had done, I knew to have done, but he would always stall or find a way not to address it, and I would just call it, it's just sort of neither here nor there. It dragged on for a year and a half without any formal agreement, but he started doing things to the property on his own, whether he was competent enough to do it. I don't want to emasculate a man. I mean, I understand all men like try to fix things.
Well, but this isn't about his emasculation, darling. This is about getting you out now. This is not about his emasculation. This is about getting you out of a terrible arrangement. So, you know, in my opinion,
to buy me out.
huh? Say that again?
He offered to buy me out.
I think that's a good idea.
He offered to buy me. I accepted, and now he will not continue forward with it.
Okay, well, I think it's a great idea if he would buy you out. So let's go on and get a lawyer on board to help that happen. Okay? He can either buy you out,
That'd be great.
or together you must sell this property, and you take half of the money and you go on, and you all stop cohabiting. Okay? This is a break
I know.
now in your relationship. That's why I said, do you love him? But if he's breaking up your furniture, if he's an alcoholic, what are you doing? I mean, this is somebody that's got...
I tried to help. You know, I tried to help him.
What, darling? Say that again?
I was trying to help him, or I tried to see the good. Try to see the good in everybody, and I tried to help. You know, him.
Well, darling,
Never
you know,
really
discernment...
myself in the process.
Yeah, but Carrie, you're listening to the show because you're interested in spirituality, and I'm going to say discernment is a gift from God, and you're not using it.
Right.
You don't see the good in everybody. You see people realistically and act accordingly, my love. It's wonderful that you have good friends that are trying to be good people, but you don't just take somebody with a selective reality and throw your lives in with them. You're going to go someplace you don't want to go. That's what you've done.
Right.
So we've just got to get you out of it with as much dignity and as much money as you can possibly make out of this situation. And you've got to go on and not look backwards, okay? And be smarter the next time. Okay. So, darling, I'm very concerned about you, but thank God in heaven you work for a law firm. If our dear Jessica is listening, Jessica, go work for a law firm, because I think this is so important. If you all are going to be in situations like this, best work for a law firm. And I think that's really important, sweetheart. But what you want to do is get out of this relationship. So have them handle your divorce. And what's contentious is the sale of the property. You all make an agreement through the lawyer about what you're going to do with this property. He can either buy you out or it has to be sold. But this is the way it is. And push that forward with your lawyer. Okay? Where are you? Where?
And I will continue to listen.
Where is the 401 exchange?
I am located in Rhode Island.
Long Island?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Okay.
Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island. That's a beautiful state. I don't happen to know the laws there, so your lawyer is the one that is very much... What, darling?
Yeah. I said they're a little tough. That's why it's gone on for so long, but I've been trying since about July of 2017, and I feel as though by July of 2019, hopefully everything will be behind me.
It will, sweetheart. And unfortunately, we can't be sentimental about this property. It's not in your best interest. You know,
I know.
I feel anyway, you know, there've been things in my past that I've had to let go of too. And it's like, okay, let's let go of that. In fact, I've got to tell you a silly story. The other day, you know, I talk about living in the present, letting go of the past, not being overly sentimental about anything. Come on, let's get on with, you know, creating a great life, right? So the other day I was in the town where my grandmother used to live, and I decided to drive down her little street. Now, her little street is a very antiquated little street. She died, oh gosh, when did grandmother die? Probably back in the, I want to say the 70s, early 80s. No, I think probably in the 70s. And I drove on her street, and it was still this kind of little charming, old, you know, quaint thing, houses that were built in the 50s, all except my grandmother's razed to the ground. Not even there. And I had to laugh that this neighborhood is exactly like I remember when I was a child, except for her house, which is not there. And I thought, what a great metaphor. My life is not supposed to be in the past at all. I'm not even supposed to go back and see what it looks like. So, darling, please bring your life into the present time right now and don't look back. And
Thank
what
you.
you
Thank
can
you.
do to honor your family is to create a brand new great life, being very discerning about the people that you allow into your life and the agreements that you make.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Martha.
Thank you, Carrie. Let me know how you're doing too, will you? I'd appreciate it very much. By the way, all of you can find me. You can write me through the website, and the website is Martha Novak, Novak.com, and there's a place that says Contact Martha, and the emails will come right to me. So by all means, you all do that, okay? And good luck to you. I'll be saying big prayers for you and Jessica today. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, great phone calls today. Thank you so much. Let me get to the last three characteristics. Carrie, you had said you had not listened to the high conflict shows. They are the last three shows. We've been doing this for a month. Today is the 7th of April, so please look back for a month and listen to all those shows, and you'll be thoroughly caught up. Again, some of these things are repeated. I want to say right now, before I forget to say it, before we go into these characteristics, that Dr. Eddie, I don't know whether he's a doctor, I would think so, Mr. Doctor, who created this program, says to use the WEB, again, another acronym, method for spotting high conflict individuals. That is, listen to their words. Do they have all or nothing thinking? Is someone all bad or all good? What's going on there? Watch their emotions. They'll be very volatile, okay? And they won't take responsibility for their part in anything. And then watch their behaviors and what they do. He has a very, very good analysis, and I have thought of this and do tell clients about this. I'm going to tell you about it. He uses something called the 90% method. If you find a behavior that's strange, for example, or a response that's strange, ask yourself if 90% of the people in the world would do that. Would 90% of the people in the world do that? For example, darling, in your case, Carrie, break up your furniture. No, 90% of the people wouldn't do that. So that's a real bizarre thing. Then those warning bells should go off for you. Not to get involved with that, or certainly to get out. You know, the thing about high conflict personalities is many of them don't want help. I read a wonderful article today about who therapists fire. And it's paraphrasing that, I think it was in the New Time magazine or something, paraphrasing what this man said. Do they have the intention to get well, and are they making an effort in that direction? As you all talk about these things. And I think that's a real important thing for you all to have in your discernment pool in your head. Watch people. Don't just get involved with them. You know, everybody can say pretty words. Instead of just the request, we're back. Yay. Okay. I'm going to repeat for Facebook live because we lost that feed for a minute. Number 38, characteristics of high conflict personalities, is that they'll ask for many favors and will not reciprocate favors. And what I just said was, Jessica gave us a great example of that, where he signed up these kids for 3 different activities, and yet he expects her to pick them up all over town for these 3 different activities. I'm kind of exaggerating that. I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but that gives you an idea of what I'm talking about as an example. They will ask you for a lot of favors. It will never occur to them to reciprocate the favors. They can't see that they need to do that. Okay? 39, number 39. They will respond to requests with unrelated demands, often ignoring the request altogether. I've seen this happen in high conflict individuals before, where they make it about something else, like your shortcomings, instead of it just being about the request. In other words, and I'm just going to give you a for example here. Darling, I'm not going to be able to pick up Johnny from school. Well, if you didn't have him all the time doing this activity, which is just stupid, then you could take better care of your child. You understand. Kim, I'm so sorry. She said I'm blurry. Maybe I just am in life. I'm very sorry about that. I can only deal with the speed they give me, and sometimes they cannot. So try to just listen and not necessarily see my blurriness. All right. So I think that gives you an example of number 39. And number 40, which is our last characteristic. They will split those around them into all good and all bad people, triggering many conflicts. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is the all or nothing thinking. If you agree with them, you're very, very good. If you don't agree with them, you're very, very bad. This is all or nothing thinking. With high conflict individuals, they do split people into those groups. Now, the big thing about this is not the personality disorders that get taken to the extreme. It is the high conflict need that these people have. I have a theory. This is only my theory. I don't know whether psychologists would agree with this. I'm an energy worker that deals in psychology, not a psychologist. I don't know whether Mr. Eddie or Dr. Eddie would agree with this. I don't know. But I am going to say that I have noticed with high conflict individuals that it is something they do to relieve tremendous anxiety. They can't let everything just be calm. For whatever reason, we can look to their childhoods, we can look to their genetic makeup, we can look to a lot of things, But the fact of the matter is, they don't leave it calm for very long. There is an internal buildup, in my opinion, of anxiety. It is relieved when they fight with someone. So that's why high conflict people seem to always have something like this around them. Lawsuits, fight with the neighbors, whatever. It's always going to be there. Drama of some sort, which is certainly going in that direction. Of high conflict, if they have enough of it. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed these shows. I urge you to go back and listen to the last month. I also want to tell you that next week, and I'm here usually every Sunday at 10 o'clock, doing Real Talk with Martha Novak. The fact is, I won't be here next Sunday. I am taking that off. I occasionally do, believe it or not. And I'll be back the following week. So 2 weeks from now will be on the 21st. I'll be talking to you again, April 21st. I will post this on Blog Talk Radio and send it out for Facebook Live. On the 21st, I'm not sure what we'll be talking about. My tendency is to think we should talk about magical thinking. And I think that's something that we haven't really talked about. We've referred to on this show, so I will probably do a show on that. And we will look forward to hearing more from you. I want to thank Jessica and thank Carrie for calling in. This is big stuff. And this is stuff that, our lives are really teaching tools for other people. We're here to learn from them, but we're here to learn from others too. This is this marvelous experience of living that we're in. We're not alone. Our experience is someone else's, or some part of it is. So I want to thank you, women, for tuning in and for calling in. It means the world to me and certainly to others. So thank you so much for doing so. So everybody, I'll see you on the 21st. We'll talk about magical thinking at that time. All right, let's do a quick prayer. Let's get us having some courage come up in us, because honestly, you are spiritual beings in physical form. You're not physical beings that once in a while think about spirituality. If you are, we're still caught in that ego child's mind, and we're in the process, all of us, in growing up and growing out of that. Our idea of God grows up, and God gets more trustworthy in that. We become trustworthy when our idea of ourselves grows up. It's all the same thing, because God's not an external force out there somewhere. It is all you are. But the ego child's mind, the part of us that thinks like a child, that believes in our own victimization and more, needs to be transcended. And that's what we're all here to do. Your happiness is there, but it's on the other side of the limitation and the old false beliefs about ourselves that our ego child's mind puts on the table. You see, they did make sense of your world when you were young, that you were a terrible victim of whatever, okay? They don't make sense now, because you have the right to create the life you want. Now, I want to say it's a working of energy. So go back and listen, please, because we've got about 100 archive shows. I don't know how many, actually, but on Blog Talk Radio and Facebook Live. And there are 3, I think, or 4, another series on creating the life you want. Go back and look at those shows, please. There's also a book that is on my website called The Life You Want that I've written. And the Teacup Prophecies is another one that we've made the Teacup Prophecies into a marvelous app for iPhones so that you can get ascended messages all the time. So please look at that. It's 99 cents. I mean, we're trying to get these things in your hands so that your life can be easier and better. Thank you for listening. Dear God, who is all there is, you who are all we are and all everything is in this world, thank you so much for everything. We open ourselves now to release to you, to our highest selves, any of these old issues, that we may have these transformed to deeper levels of love and courage and being here in this moment to create a wonderful life for ourselves, for our children, for our families, and for all. Turn on our discernment, dear God, that we may see all of you with your eyes, that we may transcend that little child part of us that just wants to be loved by someone, because there are some ones out there that don't always fit. And to have a happy life, they must in many ways. Turn on our lovingness, dear God, in all its aspects. We thank you so much. We say this prayer now in your name, in the name of the ascended masters, our love-centered God, guides and friends, and in the name of each and every person listening to the show today, and in the name of Jessica and Carrie. Thank you for listening, and so it is. Guys, would you do me a favor? Would you follow the show? Would you like the show? And would you share the show on social media? We are trying to get the word out that we are here and doing what we're doing. We're here generally, except for next week, every Sunday at 10 o'clock right now, Daylight Savings Time, because it's April. We'd appreciate it very much. That's what you can do for us, is just get the word around, let people hear this show or other shows that you think they might enjoy. Thank you for all of this. We are on social media, Martha Novak. Please find us. I look forward to talking with you on the 21st. Have a good week. And remember that God loves you through you. Be brave. Be truthful. And be loving. Bye.